Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dooz Diz Din, and it is finally time for the ninth season of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dooz Diz Din, and this is a review of episodes 1 and 2 titled Beginning of the End. A very apropos title. So we see Twilight and her friends racing towards Canterlot Castle as they have all received an urgent summons from the two princesses about something going down. So naturally they think it's trouble, but once they arrive and find everything is okay, no problems, no issues, no nothing, you know, Celestia and Luna let them know that nothing major is actually going down, honestly. In fact, there have been no real catastrophes that have really befallen them. Everything that has actually come their way has actually been dealt with specifically by Twilight and her friends. And it's been dealt with in a very handle handily fashion, I guess I could say. And with that declaration, Celestia says that her and Luna have decided to retire, much to the shock of everyone. And even with Discord coming in and be like, well, if you're retiring, then who's going to take over your positions? And it is decided that Twilight Sparkle will be the one to take over. Now, I know some people will go on to say this feels a little off. It doesn't feel right. This feels very weird. But, while it was probably, I could almost 100% say it was not planned, everything that Twilight has been throughout the course of this series feels like it very much could have led up to this. It's not implied that Celestia and Luna came into their position because of royal blood or heritage or anything like that. They were just given these titles. And, once Twilight got her wings, became an alicorn, then became a princess, got a castle, started up a school, started all the same similar things that Celestia had going on for a while. It's just like, yeah, okay, you know, I guess the end point would be for her to rule Equestria as a whole for the most part. It makes sense, at least to a certain degree. I know some people will probably have an issue with this, but I don't, not so much. It's a little bit out of nowhere, honestly, but it makes sense, at least to me, for the most part. But, Spike asked the $1 million question is just like, you can do that? Like, can princesses, queens, whatever, just retire, go about their business and all that? It's very odd and kind of off putting, but Celestia says all the same things that I was saying before. Twilight has been through so much, learned so much, grown, developed, changed. That's the one thing that you can't say about this series, that things haven't changed. Say all you want about them trying to promote new toys and stuff like that, but there's been actual developments, changes. Things have gone from one place to another. Things no longer exist in the same way that they did in season one. Characters no longer exist in the same way they did in season one. A lot of things have just happened, and Twilight has faced them all. But, naturally, Twilight still feels that she's not ready. She feels that she's not prepared for something like this. But, her friends say that she's got this. That's, speaking of the one of the major songs from the My Little Pony movie, just telling Twilight, we got this together. And as long as they're together, they'll be able to preside over Equestria with fairness and equality. And so Twilight kind of gives in, still uncertain, but knowing that her friends are there with her, she's more willing to actually try and do this job. And Discord's just like, yeah, you sure about this? You sure you got this? And all that good stuff. And it's, ultimately stated that Twilight will actually come to rule within the span of a couple of days. Not how she had hoped, where it would be a slow period of time, but it's just like almost going to be instantaneous, which seems very reckless on the side of Celestia and Luna, but that's even addressed later on. But, they're just like, we just feel that you're ready. You got this. We think you are prepared for something like this. And even back at Twilight's Castle, Discord kind of calls out all the tropes. It's just like, we know how this is going to go. You're going to say you don't have this. Your friends will try to assert that you've got this. You will believe them, yada yada. I'm out. So he just bounces for like most of this whole stuff. But her friends even reveal that her name, it's called twilighting. It's a verb, where she just starts panicking and freaking out. She goes through all these stages and all this, but at the end of things, she ultimately proves that she's got it. So, like, it's a nice show of the tropes of this show, but at the same time, it shows that how much faith they have in her to actually work through this at the end of all of it, that things will ultimately work themselves out in the end. And even Spike and Rainbow Dash kind of call out the trope that so many people have stated, especially if you've watched Bronies react, of the fact that a lot of times whenever something big or major comes up, they've never really needed Celestia and Luna. There's never really been a situation where Celestia and Luna actually truly help them defeat a bad guy or face a threat or anything like that. So, and even now they're running a school. They've defeated villains. They've handled everything that has come their way. So why not? Why not take over as a whole? And meanwhile, we see Queen Chrysalis just ranting and raving about taking her revenge against Twilight Sparkle. And we see that she's basically just carving changeling faces in logs, creating a kind of, pseudo kingdom for the most part. She's really gotten desperate at this point. It's just gotten that bad. She's truly fallen from grace since the changelings have denounced their evil ways as a whole. But she's teleported away, and we cut to Tartaros, where Tyrek and Cozy Glow are, getting along for the most part. Cozy Glow's having fun, but Tyrek is less than thrilled to have this very happy-go-lucky pony in his midst until they're teleported away. And we also see someone, create a kind of resurrection recovery spell that brings back King Sombra. And as Queen Chrysalis, meets up with Tyrek, she makes it known that she knows Tyrek very well. And then Sombra makes his appearance on the scene, with everyone knowing who he is. And then the true person behind their, joining reveals himself as actually a very old My Little Pony villain from G1, Grogar, this evil ram who had this bell that had, all these sinister abilities. In fact, I think he was mentioned seasons ago, taken down by Gusty the Great, I think it was. I read up a little bit about this after I watched through all this, and he brought this coalition together to take down Twilight Sparkle. Because he's been watching everyone over all this time. He's been watching from the shadows, seeing all their failures, their attempts to take over Equestria, and it's just like, look, the one thing that Twilight has had on her side that has helped her prevail is allies, and that's what we need. That's ultimately what we need in order to, kind of work through this. Cozy Glow, honestly has no real clue who Grogar is, whereas Tyrek, Chrysalis, Sombra even, they all know who Grogar is. So they, sit Cozy Glow down, and, Grogar gives, Tyrek a little cup of magic, basically, to get him back into a little bit more of a powerful form. And so, Tyrek takes the moment to explain to Cozy Glow who Grogar is specifically. And Sombra even mentions he is notable for being the king of monsters, as I think, or the creator of monsters, as he had unleashed all these beasts. He might be the very origin of very much of the magical beasts that you saw in Tartarus, all these combined creatures and all that good stuff. And they wreaked havoc all across Equestria in the beginning, as he had felt that he wanted to ally it all and create this one big kingdom until, yeah, as Chrysalis states, he was taken down by Gusty the Great. But Grogar ultimately says that he wasn't truly taken down, he just went into hiding. He had lost a lot of his magic and had been biding his time. Although Kozigo kind of calls him out on the fact that if Tyrek had heard about Grogar when he was young, then he's got to be older than old. So, that defeat seemed a little bit more permanent than he's letting on. But Grogar's just like, what of it, ultimately? I've been learning, adapting, looking for a time when it would be best for me to actually come into the picture and take over. And I saw an opportunity in banding all of you together for a common goal. And he's not asking, he's ordering an alliance between all of them. However, Sombra finally being back on the scene and actually talking this time around, that took me off guard for the most part. An actual conversation with Sombra outside of growls and crystals and slobbering and stuff like that. He's just like, yeah, I don't need you. Now that I'm back, I'm ready to take over the Crystal Empire in earnest. And Grogar Shalus just like, you know what, fine. If you think you can do it, that's perfectly fine. But if you can't, you will come back and you will serve me, lest you be banished to the abyss once again. Although, Sombra's completely full of himself. He's just like, you know what, I will never need you. I've got this. I will take over the Crystal Kingdom and the whole of Equestria should I choose so. So, Grogar sends him off and he tells him, once he fails, be ready to ally and finally take over Equestria. So it's a very interesting moment just to see this long-time old villain. I mean, I don't remember who's older, Grogar or Tyrek, honestly. But, it's great to actually finally see all these characters finally come together and just, actually get ready to take down the main six and all their allies. I think it was a long time coming. And Cozy Glow gets ready to, band them together in the thralls of friendship because she still knows that, friendship is magic. Meanwhile, Twilight is still freaking out and she has summoned Starlight Glimmer in order to, gives her some information. And she even talked about the verb of twilighting. And it's revealed that Starlight will take over the school as, Twilight takes over the kingdom. And Starlight starts freaking out, saying that she's not good enough, she's not ready, she's not capable, all that good stuff. And then Twilight gives her this inspirational speech saying that you've come a long way, you've done enough, you are more than ready for something like this. And then Starlight turns it on her saying, you just said all the things that you needed to hear for yourself. But Twilight kind of ignores this, just not ready to give up on her, desperation and exasperation and hyperventilating. She does a lot of that here. But meanwhile, the Crystal Kingdom starts to get, completely overrun by the, rise of King Sombra, his mind control, as, Cadance sends out a message to Twilight of Sombra's return. And, while she does get the message out, Sombra captures, Flurry Heart And so, naturally, Shining Armor and Cadence aren't about to, try to step to him and possibly endanger their child. So Sombra manages to take control of the Crystal Heart and the Crystal Kingdom as a whole, imprisoning the royal family, all that good stuff, all the measures, all the things. And I honestly love him just chillaxing and just being like, ooh, it's good to be the king. It's just like, man, got a snazzy voice and a lot more style than the last time we saw you, Sombra. I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. But, Twilight received the message. She calls in everyone to ally and take down Sombra as best they can. But even, Discord shows up having been called. And Twilight asks to see if maybe Discord can help her out. But Discord is less than willing to actually aid or, do anything. Discord just seems to be really reluctant to truly help out and take down a villain for the most part, as he wants to be like, Twilight, you got this, I'm out. So Twilight tries to figure out what they can do, as they originally used the Crystal Heart to take down Sombra, and Discord's just like, are you ready to step up? This is your chance. Show the world what you got. Are you ready to do what needs to be done and truly become queen? But again, Twilight tries to just, pawn it off on Discord, and he's having none of that. He just really does not want any part of that. And so it's just like, well, what do we need? What can we do? What can we possibly do in order to take him down? And, of course, it would be the elements of harmony. I don't know why this was even up for debate. But Discord's just like, you don't need the elements to do this. You have the power. Just believe in yourself and you got this. And that's not hyperbole. He truly is like, no, you literally have the power within you. Twilight is looking down on herself, but Twilight is powerful. It's the one thing she hasn't truly taken a hold of, is the fact that she's got magic out the wazoo and is fully capable of taking down these big threats all on her own. But Twilight says that she is taking no chances when her family is involved, and she leaves the school to Starlight Glimmer, and they go to the elements of harmony, as Sombra's just relishing in his victory and his control. They burst in ready to take Sombra down, but he's ready for him. He's just like, okay, you're here, that's great, boom, experience your worst fears. So, Twilight starts to see all of her friends enslaved, and I love this little shot of, Celestia and Luna in their dark forms and Nightmare Moon, and I thought it was, I forget what, Celestia's dark form was, Sunbreaker, I don't remember. It was something really cool, though. I feel so bad that I can't remember that name, but, man, a dark Celestia story would have been great. But, ultimately, Twilight and her friends break free of it, ultimately saying they were just a distraction. It's just like, we were just gonna face our fears while Spike frees Cadence and Shining Armor and Flurry Heart. And, Cadence takes the Crystal Heart, Flurry Heart keeps Sombra's forces at bay. Cadence brings the Crystal Heart to the center to get it fully activated. The Crystal Empire is freed of Sombra's influence, and Sombra swears vengeance, shaking his hoof, and they just, make him taste the rainbow, basically, and annihilate him. And the job is done. And while Twilight still doesn't feel good, like she's really got this, she ultimately says that as long as her friends are there, she should be able to, take control of Canterlot and Equestria as a whole. However, when they return the elements of harmony to the Tree of Harmony, in comes Sombra, not ready to call it quits for the most part, and he does the one thing that I've never actually thought of, never really saw a villain do. I think we saw the evil versions of the ponies try to do this, and they got violently destroyed. That episode was really messed up. But, they ultimately, weren't able to get close, but Sombra comes in, destroys the Tree of Harmony, and the elements of harmony all end up shattered. And I was shocked at this because I'm just like, yo, wait, what? But, but, like, you destroyed these really powerful magical elements like it was nothing. Jesus, we've had that for 9 years. What the hell? And Sombra revels in his victory as he has destroyed the source of Twilight's power, thus ending part 1 as we enter part 2. Strap in, kids, as it gets wilder from here, as Twilight and her friends are just taken off guard and just not ready for this. And Sombra's just like, you've got nothing now, you can't defeat me. And Twilight gives in. It's just like, yeah, without the elements, we got nothing, we can't do anything, we can't take this guy down. And Sombra imprisons them. It's just like, yeah. And now, not only am I going to take over the Crystal Kingdom once again, but this time around, I think what I'll do is I'll start at Ponyville. So he just, pieces out, and it's just like, I could possess you and turn you into my thralls, but it's more fun to see you squirm in agony. Classic villain mistake. It's just like, dude, Sombra, you had the forethought to destroy their weapons of power. I don't know why you wouldn't think to just enslave them there and then and be done with it, bro. You were on a roll up until this point. You had this all planned to a T, and you dropped the ball. You got sloppy. And so, but Twilight gives in, her friends give in to the fact that they've got no way out. They don't know what to do because, ultimately they don't have the elements of harmony. But, they kind of rally themselves and dig their way out, which, how could you dig your way out of crystal? It's gotta go down a lot deeper than that. But whatever, they dig their way out. However, Ponyville has been enslaved, and while Twilight tries to free, her friends, it's no use. Sombra's spell is too great. And ultimately, Twilight tries to call out to Starlight and Spike, but it does no good as they are ready to lay siege to Canterlot. And Twilight and her friends, for the most, kind of give up because they're just like, it can't get any worse. We can't free our friends. We can't do anything. But it gets worse as the Everfree Florist, without the Tree of Harmony, just starts growing out of control, growing Everfree, basically. And so Twilight and her friends are just like, okay, we got to deal with this first, because even if we free our friends, then they won't have a home to come home to. So they garden up, basically, and get ready to fight the Everfree Forest. Meanwhile, Sombra starts his approach on Canterlot, completely taking over as, Twilight and Celestia and Luna are nowhere to be found. And, as Twilight and her friends do their best in order to fight back the Everfree Forest, in come Celestia and Luna, having noticed that the Everfree Forest and the, elements of harmony, the Tree of Harmony, have gone down. So they came in response to that. That's why they weren't at the castle. And they fight back the Everfree Florist. And we even have the arrival of Star Swirl the Bearded, as he had felt the fall of the Tree of Harmony as well. And he says that, I was the one who created the Tree of Harmony, so, and keeping back the Everfree Forest was my job before the Tree of Harmony was in place. So he tells them, go defeat Sombra, we will take care of this. As, Twilight tells Celestia about the fact that, I should have called you, I should have done something, but we'll do our best to handle this. So she, blinks everyone to Canterlot, the outskirts, but they're surrounded by their friends, so they blink further inside after a brief battle, seeing the crystallization of the entire Canterlot castle. And even Discord arrives on the scene, having just kind of, been sitting off to the side for the most part, not really getting himself involved. But, they beg him to get involved, to help them to do something. But Discord seems to be really down on actually doing anything here, which took me off guard for the most part. But, that's the thing, that's the running joke, that Discord never really wants to involve himself in major battles. Whenever something really big goes on, the less you see of Discord immediately. Like, that Storm King situation, Discord was nowhere to be found. So when big things go down, Discord leaves. He gets out of there because he doesn't want to involve himself. But they end up confronting Sombra, and for the most part, Discord's just basically messing around with Sombra. He's just like, yeah, you've got nothing. I could take this guy like nothing. He's just snapping his fingers, poofing away all of Sombra's magic. And it looks like Discord basically has this until Sombra notices that Discord cares for Fluttershy, so he takes a shot at Fluttershy. Discord takes the shot, gets knocked down, and it seems like he's down for the count. And Sombra's just like, oh man, it must be so great. I took down the Lord of Chaos. Look how badass I am. But Discord gives this very nice speech. It's just like, listen, you've had this power in you all along. That's what ended up turning me. That's what helped you defeat all these villains. It wasn't just your, the elements of harmony or some MacGuffin. It was you, your planning, your thoughtfulness, and the power was in you all along, because he's calling upon the fact that Twilight had that big showdown with Tearing. Remember that battle? That battle that everyone got really hyped about? That was all Twilight. That was Twilight's inner power shining right there and then. So he's just like, the power was in you. Don't you get it? Don't you see the tagline for this series? My Little Pony, friendship is magic, so use that. So Twilight gets ready to confront Sombra. Twilight confronts Sombra in basically a beam struggle. Got that showdown with Voldemort kind of situation. Goku versus Vegeta just struggling with their energy blast, and at first Twilight doesn't seem like she's got it, but once her friends kind of step in and give her the magic of friendship, and Sombra's just like, man, what? No, I should have had this. I got this. You were defeated. Your source of power is gone. This is some, super bullshit 64. He's basically like a whiny kid who's just like, no, you're cheating. That's not fair. But it's just like, silly Sombra, don't you know? Friendship is magic. Ha 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 ha. And they just annihilate him for the most part. I don't know if they killed him or what, but, it looked a lot more permanent this time around. So everyone's freed from Sombra's thrall. They're all, freed and all that good stuff. The kingdom is, Ponyville is freed of Sombra's crystallization and the ever-free forest's overgrowth and all that. And, Celestia and Luna arrive to see them caring for Discord after his little oopsie accident. And, Twilight talks to, Celestia and Luna, saying she feels bad for not originally calling them, because she wanted to be the one to, show that she was in charge. She wanted to show that she had the capability, but ultimately she feels that she didn't, and she should have had the courage to ask for help when it was needed. And Celestia's just like, look, I understand, but you understand that you needed to ask for help, and it's a great ruler who understands when they've made mistakes and willing to learn from them and ask for help and do what needs to be done to protect the kingdom. But then they also admit what should have been obvious to anyone: maybe we were thrusting on this on you a little too prematurely. And I'm just like, you think? You know how Twilight is. Everyone knows how Twilight is. You should have known that she would not be ready to take this on so soon. It's too much, too fast. And I'm glad they're, throttling back on this a bit and giving her time before they, turn things over to her. And ultimately Twilight's just like, oh, okay, then thank you. She's ultimately relieved. She's thankful. She's glad. She's just like, oh, thank goodness. I was not ready for this responsibility. But Discord showing off that he wasn't even hurt to begin with. It's just like, what? That's it? Yeah, but I put in that speech. I pretended to fail to that jobber Sombra. It's just like, I can't believe I did all of that and faked all of that for you not to take the throne of all things. And everyone's kind of pissed at the fact that he was faking it. But he's just like, dude, no. Did you really believe I would be taken out by someone like Sombra? Please. It's a friggin' minor inconvenience. I'm the Lord of Chaos. What do you think? And he's just like, you know what? I'm peace out of here. Twilight had the power in her all along. I don't know why she couldn't just believe in herself. Why y'all don't understand the genres and all that good stuff. But whatever, I'm out. Peace. And they all laugh about the fact that it's just like, Discord has a very funny way of showing his support. And that's always kind of been the thing. He just has a really weird way of showing support for people. It's just like, and that's a weird way of kind of addressing why he never gets involved, because he's just like, no, you've got this. I'm out. It's just like the belief that it's just like, because I feel like it comes from a point of view. It's just like, well, you took me down. I'm probably the most powerful being in your reality, and you managed to take me down time and time again. You got this. I don't know why you're worrying. You got this. I'm out. Peace. And Celestia and Luna just talk about the fact that while they were looking forward to retirement, they were happy to at least have a moment of just action, taking down the Everfree Forest with Star Swirl. They see Twilight and her friends do it all the time, and they made it seem so easy. And, they talk about the fact that it's because they're with their friends, yada, 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 everybody hugs, the end. And they say that ultimately Twilight will one day have the potential to rule when she's ready. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom, we see Cozy Glow having this little bit of friendship testing moment with Tyrek and Chrysalis, and I'm surprised they got far enough to the point where they were all holding hands, because it looks like Chrysalis is ready to bite off Cozy Glow's head. But, in comes Grogar, who's just like, yeah, so Sombra failed, and let this be a lesson to you. If you want to just go off and go Maverick, that you'll probably fail too. Does anybody else want to try to go off and, F with the ponies again and get their asses handed to them? And just like, yeah, no, nah, we're good. Because it's just like they failed on multiple occasions. Tyrek, with his whole setup with Cozy Glow, Chrysalis, and all her endeavors, it's just like, you know what? Maybe we'll try something new and ally with them. And, Grogar's just like, excellent. So, get some rest and get prepared as we strike soon. So, thus the villain alliance has started up. Got this the evil League of Evil is watching, so beware. So it'll be fun to see what they actually end up doing towards the end of this season. I feel glad that they actually kept such a prominent MLP, Gen 1 villain for the end, because it's just like, creating this band of all these previous villains, it actually makes me wonder how many other villains will actually come into play, or it'll just be these four, or what will happen towards the end. If Grogar will actually bring back Sombra, because it was fun seeing Sombra again to actually have a greater overlapping role, but I don't want that to be the end of it. It's just like, let me see a little bit more Sombra. Though then again, he might not have the personality to even attempt, allying. Tyrek and, Chrysalis have shown that they're actually in such a desperate spot that it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. So a fun episode, a fun season premiere, very good stuff. It was, that's one hell of a way to bring it back. Just bringing back Sombra, a character a lot of people were hoping to see once again. Although IDW comic reader fans might be a little down on it since we saw this whole, redemption story for Sombra in the IDW book. So that clashes a lot with that and changes a lot of continuity. So, although it could always happen later down the line. So it might happen like after this, Sombra comes back and then he gets his redemption story. So that could always be a thing. It might not quite be out of continuity just yet. But, it was fun. It's good to see the villains ally with each other, because it's just like, it was always this thing that you always wondered. They have all these villains who are still legit villains. Everyone comments about, oh, they turn all these villains good and all that stuff. We have plenty of villains who haven't turned good. Hell, there's still the Dazzlings out there, I think that it is. Actually, I think that's about it, honestly. But there's a good chunk of characters who never turn good, and, they're all here in this room. Just like, there you go. There's always going to be villains, although you never know what will happen towards the end. And, Grogar still has his magic bell that he wants to get back. So we'll probably see that happen towards the end of this season, and Grogar rise up to be a villain, a true villain once again, which will be fun. Honestly, everyone's downsides and their put downs towards My Little Pony in the later seasons, I didn't really feel it too much, as I never really felt that it was that great to begin with. I liked the series, but it was just like, there are plenty of faults in the first season. I don't know why so many people were seeing it so much more so in later seasons. Maybe it was just me. But hey, tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. How did you feel about this episode? These two episodes, basically. How did you feel about the later seasons as a whole? Or did you care more for the first season? And are you only just coming on because it's the last season? And how do you feel about it? How do you feel about this lead up till the very end, the beginning of the end? Tell me all below. And if you liked this video, feel free to leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I might have done wrong in the comment section below, so I might better myself for future videos. And hey, how about hitting that subscribe and bell button to keep up to date with my reviews of the final season of Friendship is Magic. And if you want to find me on social media platforms, feel free to Google me, DewsThisDin. I'm everywhere. But until then, keep it magical, all my friends out there.